Um, it's kind of funny. You're trying to figure out who you are, and I'm extremely proud of the effort that they gave to really buckle down at the end to salvage a win. It wasn't pretty. We did not play well. That third quarter, I don't think I've ever been associated with a team that gave up 35 points in a quarter. But I think we lost our focus. I lost our focus, and they capitalized on them. Don't get me wrong, Florida I think is a really good basketball team. They went down to the wire with South Carolina. They went down to the wire with Tennessee, and I think they're going to cause some havoc on a lot of people, especially if they shoot the basketball that way. And where we are right now, and we need to continue to get better, but we're reinventing ourselves. When you don't have Tiani and you got to switch everything up, it's a body that they take away from us. It's fouls, and then Clara has to play a certain way. Tony has to play a certain way, and I don't have very many plays in our playbook that don't involve Clara or Tiani. So I was proud of Tony. We put her in predicaments that were tough tonight. She did a really good job. Clara did a really good job defensively, but we put her in too many tough situations. So we will watch this game. We will learn from it. We will turn the page because if you allow one game to snowball into two where you don't play well, you can find yourself, looking up at a lot of good teams in the SEC conference. So very proud of our kids.
We'll start with Phoenix.
Coach, when Florida starts to go on a scoring run and they start making shots, even the contested ones, how much are you sitting there looking at, okay, we need to play better defense, but they're also just making these really contested shots. We need to stick to our scouts.
Yeah, part of it is you put them in situations that you feel are favorable, and I think they were like a 25% 3-point shooting team, and it seemed like all of them. Some of them might have made as many tonight they had all year, and so you give them credit that they made them. Some of it was that, but some of it too, we just really, I can think of like 3 or 4 plays where like one of our players went for a steal and then somebody tried to cover for them and they kicked it out for a wide open 3. We just did things uncharacteristic tonight. You can credit some of that to physical fatigue, emotional fatigue, coming off of a really big game on Sunday. But we need to clean that up playing against teams in the SEC.
Any other questions, John?
Tony, this was a fun game for the fans to watch. You going against McGill was battle of the point guards. When you have somebody that's matching you stride for stride and controlling tempo, does that bring out a little bit more in you?
She's a good player. We were ready for her. I think we held her to a good amount of shots. But yeah, it's always a fun game no matter who's in front of us. But we got it done, and that was the end goal for us.
Coach, when it's late and you all are battling for the lead, what's the message kind of late to keep your team composed?
Yeah, I think the focus level had to rise, and it was little things, man. And I'm probably going to be sick to my stomach when I watch the film. Little things that we allowed them to do, or we just weren't in position. Their transition was they were pushing it right at us the whole night, and even when we got back, sometimes we weren't there to be ready to guard. And then having her on the bench for a long period of time, I thought that kind of uplifted us a little bit. Just knowing that she was back there, she had a couple big shots, took a little bit of the pressure off Tony because we were backyard footballing it, calling some plays and adding some wrinkles during the game that we've never done all year, just to try to get her free, because normally we want her to come off of a ball screen, engage with 2 people so that she can run free, but she wasn't there. We had to do some adjustments, but they came through, man. They came through, got some stops when they needed, got some rebounds when they needed, and hit some shots when we needed them.
Noah?
Clara, you and Tiani are the leaders on this team. Obviously, Tiani isn't able to go right now, and we saw a couple of moments tonight where you were pretty fiery and just trying to motivate your teammates. Can you talk about maybe where you've tried to elevate your leadership with Tiani having to be off the floor right now?
Yeah, I think that's been a focus all year is improving on my leadership, and then I think Tony's done a good job at stepping up too, to have another leader on the court. And then Tiani's obviously still there from the bench, but I think that's definitely been something I've been trying to do is get better at that game by game as we go through the season.
And, I mean, you were frustrated with foul trouble tonight. At one point, I think you had to sit for 10 minutes, but then you come back in, you hit that shot. How do you maintain your focus in the midst of what I'm sure was a frustrating evening at times for you?
Yeah, I mean, just staying engaged, like if I'm on the floor, if I'm not on the floor, not letting fouls or anything like that get in my head or get to me.
Kenny, that play where Asia made that midi to go up by 3, was that the initial play call, or was that kind of a find what's the best shot? Because I know Tony was covered real hard.
Yeah, and when we knew they had a lot of pressure. It's similar, like a lot at the end of a game, or and you want to get a shot. It used to be, you run a play. Right, well, everybody knows your plays. I was calling out plays tonight, and they were echoing them, and they knew what was coming. We wanted to put her in an action, and we wanted to put her in an action. She came up with a ball screen. We were going to get a favorable matchup, we figured, because they put their best defender on Tony. And then when she came off of it, AB is a kind of, we call it Asia, AB. She's a kind of player that, she has a short-term memory, and she knows she's confident in her abilities. And we had no problem with her coming off of that and making a play. I thought she was going to try to, dance around and shoot a 3, but, her little mid-range jump shot is pretty good too. So we wanted to make sure we put her in that action, and she made the right read.
Big and then Phoenix.
Clara, somebody either texted or tweeted at me during the game that on your earlier fouls, you were in there battling for position, and you get called, because it's usually the second person that gets called in situations like that. Was that frustrating to you, and are you running into more of that literally with Tiani out right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously not like what I want to happen, but I think I can't let things like that get to me and then like let that snowball into like more fouls or bad defense off like things like that. So I think, yeah, obviously a little bit, but I can't let that get into my head too much when I'm on the floor.
I'll tell you something. Her defense is better this year than it was last year, and from a standpoint, lot of the predicaments that she gets put in, we put her in them. Not intentionally, but it's almost like a weapon. It's a safety net that they have when they hit a ball screen, and she does a tremendous job of being the second line of defense. And she can test shots, she moves. We have to do a better job, especially in Tiani's absence, that we don't put her in those situations. If you look at her grade, how she grades out on the defensive end, she's smart, she blocks shots, she alters shots. We just have to try to protect her until we can get another 5 fouls that Tiani has that can provide for us, and that's how we're going to be able to, man the ship, so to speak, until Tiani gets back. But we just can't. Like when she got her second foul, Tony came over to me before I could even say anything. She says, "My bad," because her person went by her. And Clara is super aggressive on the defensive end. She's had to taper it a little bit this year just because we need her on the floor more, especially in Tiani's absence. But once we can get Tiani back, her aggression can go back up, and we can play it a different way again.
Phoenix and then John and then
This is kind of outside of the game, but I was just curious what your thoughts were on the new transfer portal window. If you can say what your thoughts are.
You just struck a nerve. I don't know if there is a right answer. I really don't. I know that it's moving pieces, and every time they ask us coaches, we always have what the problem is going to be for that solution. And to me, it's going to leave a lot of people in limbo for a very long time. All right. So from your last game until the last game of the NCAA tournament, what do you do during that? Do you work the kids out? Do you talk to them? Do you ask them if they're coming back? Do you ask them if they're leaving? If they say they're leaving, do you work them out still, or do you tell them that you can't? And then all of a sudden, the floodgates are going to open up on the day that the portal opens up, and what you're going to start seeing, one-day visits. Come in here and just do a flyby, and see what you like, and then they'll probably go. And I think that's kind of been the case a little bit, maybe on the football side. I think I saw a certain quarterback went like 4 or 5 different places. It's tough, but I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what the solution is, but I do know the problems that it's going to create, and just another way we have to evolve and what's going on, and musical chairs and having kids make right decisions and whatnot. But I think the dead time is gonna be very difficult to maneuver through and how you're gonna do it, because, there's gonna be a lot of phone calls and which probably shouldn't happen and everything. It's just, I think it was probably better the way that it was. That's my opinion. So, I mean, I own that opinion, you know, what I just said, so I haven't talked to anybody else. You're the first person to ask me.
Kenny, this is only your second year, so we're still trying to learn your mannerisms. You're still kind of hard to read, but you do seem to have a little bit more of a swagger this year, a quiet swagger in some of your answers. Is that just you, or is that a reflection of the team that you have?
You are right, I am very hard to read, by design, ask my wife. No, but I'm not hard to read for them. They know me. They know exactly what my mood is, how I am and whatnot. I had that swag last year, you know. I wouldn't have come here if I didn't have it. You know, this was an opportunity for me to be able to do it. Year in, you go in and you understand things a little bit better. All right, so you are more comfortable. Yes, we do have a really good basketball team right now. And they allow you to feel confident, just like anybody in our league. When they walk into a gym and they feel that swag, we feel the same thing. All right, we feel the same thing. But I'm not hard to read if you know me. You know, I'll guard my peace. You know, and I don't care. I'll guard it. They know exactly what I'm thinking, and when I walk in, and you know, we talk, you know. So, but I guess maybe from the outside I could be hard to read.
We'll just take.
Am I hard to read?
We'll just take 3 more.
Coach, to go back to the game, kind of at the end, you had several different players make key plays.
Yeah.
Kobe got that steal and a bucket. Clara had that big block. Asia obviously hit that shot. So the fact that you have
Millie hit one.
Millie also hit one,
Yeah.
but the fact that basically every player you have is willing to step up in a moment, no one's scared to get a foul. They have 4 fouls or make a play. What does that say about the fight this team has and those
You know,
kind of
I think
moments?
as soon as I got in the locker room, I told them how proud I was of the win. No, we didn't play well. We didn't play great. We need to be a lot better. But for those very reasons, what you said, collectively we came up, we found a way to win. We did not. I mean, there are going to be some plays that we're going to watch, and I'm going to be like, what were you thinking? All right, and we got to get better. We have to get better. But it's really it's a little bit more difficult, you know, when you are reinventing yourself on the fly. You know, when you didn't expect a situation like this, and you're trying to figure it out, because nobody's waiting for us to get, you know, to full complement of players. And we have to get better, but I was very proud of the way that they, you know, buckled down at the end, made plays, and just as you said, each and every one of them out on that floor made a very demonstrative play that helped us win that basketball game.
This question is for anyone of y'all to answer, but y'all have only had a handful of games that come down to a wire like this. Coach, you came out and said one of the first things you were real frustrated with how it went, but to try to look at the silver lining though, do you think this could be one that's kind of helpful in the sense it's something you could look back on and later down the line if a similar situation comes in?
Yeah, we know that we can take teams, we can play games down to the wire and pull them out. I think we pulled out most of them, but games like this, we don't want to take them down to the wire, but just knowing that this builds confidence in this team that we can win tough games and grit it out.
Yeah, I mean, what she said, I think, like she said, I think a lot of the ones that have come down to the wire, we've been able to grit it out, and I think that does give you confidence. I mean, you play through adversity. We were up big early, but we let that get away from us. But the fight that everyone on the court has, and just the way everyone is willing to make a winning play in the end, like we were talking about, is really what I think gives confidence for like big games that come down to this moment.
The last 2 games we've had, you know, obviously we've had situations. For instance, the inbound play at the end against Oklahoma, we botched it, and so we can't really practice it at this level in practice because these 2 they have to rest a little bit. So like that was great preparation for we need to get the ball in tonight. You know, so we're using little things from the game to allow us to learn and then grow from it and get better from it. And they're usually really good about, okay, seeing it once or twice and then fixing it or understanding it and applying it So these games, you don't like them, you know, and we got off to a great start, but we need to make sure we keep our focus, but we will learn from stuff like that.
Well, and then just,
Coach, kind of to piggyback off of that, I look at the LSU game, Oklahoma in this game, your team's poised in the last couple of minutes, even if they're down by 2. Can you speak to maybe just their presence out there?
Yeah, I can. I got a grown woman running the show, and I got a grown woman anchoring the inside, and you have experience. All right, the way that I coach those two, it's like I treat them like adults until they prove me differently, and they're adults. You know, they've played a lot of games, and I give her a lot of freedom. She and I, we go through our film session, and we talk about what ifs all the time. We talk about, okay, this is what happened, but what if, or what else did you see? So that gives her the opportunity during the game to make a different read, because we've talked about the secondary read or the third read. She's the same way, and she's learning how to slow the game down, and she's learning how to make people play at her pace. And once she continues to learn that, you know, I think she is one of the best post players in the country. So to answer your point, like, I'm not an egotistical dude where it's me. It's not. Like, I did a tremendous job of recruiting them and bringing them in here and building them up. But then it's time for them to go ahead and do it. And they're two of the best players in the country, and they're playing like it.
well, and right here.
So do you think your buzzer beater or Malachi's was better against LSU?
Tony's. I'm gonna go with it, obviously. But his was great, but I think mine was first. It was better. On the first of the year. We start the year.
And kudos to the social media. Who did the Spider-Man thing? That one was good. Lucy. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was really cool.
Cool, thank you all. We'll see you next Thursday, maybe.